There's growing outrage after a New York Times investigation which found that many migrant children who come to the U.S. without their parents here are working 12-hour shifts or more at factories, even though it violates child labor laws. The Times found that, quote, migrant child labor benefits both under-the-table operations and global corporations. In Los Angeles, children stitch Made in America tags into J. Crew shirts. They bake dinner rolls sold at Walmart and Target. They process milk used in Ben and Jerry's ice cream and help debone chicken sold at Whole Foods. As recently as the fall, middle schoolers made Fruit of the Loom socks in Alabama. In Michigan, children make auto parts used by Ford and General Motors. With us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times investigative reporter Hannah Dreier, who broke this story. Hannah, thank you for being with us this morning. You traveled, I know, to several states and talked with more than 100 child migrant workers. What did you learn?
I mean, really what I uncovered is a migrant child labor scandal in America. Kids have been coming across the border in record numbers. More than 300,000 of these kids have come here just since Biden took office. And whereas they used to mostly come and be reunited with their parents, most are now actually going to relatives, distant relatives, sometimes even strangers. And they're ending up in these horrible situations where they're on the hook for rent, for living expenses. A lot of them are in debt to the people that they're living with. And they have to go work the most punishing jobs in the country. So I talked to, like you say, more than 100 kids who are working illegally in jobs they should never have been in. I talked to them outside of meat processing plants, on the top of 3-story buildings where they were doing roofing, just things that, you would have thought had disappeared at the turn of the last century. But what I'm finding is this is happening more and more, and all signs are thousands of children, even more, are going to be in this situation.
Hannah, I've got to tell you, I mean, if folks can, if you haven't already, please look into that piece that the New York Times that Hannah is responsible for. It is just heartbreaking, terrifying. Hannah, I mean, there's a ledger there by a small boy who had it on a notepad. He wrote down some of the bills that these people were charging him. I think he's 12 years old, from Guatemala. He owes just money, and the person who is responsible for him here threatens him, like saying, "You mean nothing to me. Be careful." Hannah, these are, and you talk about 300,000. You just mentioned, I mean, the number of kids. These are kids that are supposed to, I mean, they're not invisible. They weren't just, they didn't come through. The government knows they're here. How is this happening?
I mean, you mentioned that 300,000 number. We spoke to nearly 100 people who work with these kids directly, the caseworkers who are assigned to these kids. And across the board, they estimated that some 60% of those kids are probably working full time. So, I mean, the scope is enormous. This is happening in every state. And these are not really undocumented children. They haven't come across the border and never been discovered. They've gone through a federal child welfare system where they are processed through shelters. The government is supposed to release them only to people who will take care of them and make sure that they're not exploited. But unlike the federal foster care system, these kids are placed with adults and then no one checks up on them again. They're sort of on their own. These adults are not their legal guardians. They're people who are sponsoring them. And one thing that advocates say is it could make a huge amount of difference to just have a social worker who would go, see where the kid actually lives, see if they are enrolled in school, and have some adult in these kids' lives who could help them.
This is just terrifying. And what you uncovered about, working 12, 14, 16 hours. We showed the picture that you had on Sunday of the 3 little boys that died. I mean, were injured and died. One of them fell from a roof in construction. There you see them. Take a look at these faces. And Hannah, so this is, exploitation, but who knows what some of these people are subjecting children to, by the thousands in our country.
Oh, absolutely. And child labor laws exist for a reason. They were put in place to protect workers' physical safety. And everybody knows that children are much more likely to get injured than adults. That's why they're not allowed legally to be in roofing or processing or manufacturing. But what we found is that kids are getting terribly injured. Their legs are getting ripped off in chicken processing plants. They're shattering their backs, falling from roofs. And like you say, we found at least 12 cases recently in which these kids have been killed. And even when they're not physically injured, they're threatened. I talked to one boy who had been forced to sleep in a basement. I mean, it's just appalling conditions.
And these are, as you say, these are kids that went through the process. Imagine that. Hannah Dreier, I thank you so much for being with us. I can't thank you enough for what you uncovered in this important investigation. Thank you.